Not anymore. Back to the presentation.
Detail everything.
Yeah, I appreciate you.
Yes,
First draft of the agenda.
you have Commissioner Melcher and Commissioner Hagel.
Like a place where like I meant to delete flash and then type the letter I meant. So
Have the presentation up. It won't let you, oh, I'm sorry.
No, yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Let's get started. Good evening, everyone. This is the, what is it today, October 22nd meeting of the Historic Preservation Commission. I'd like to call this meeting to order. First item on the agenda, native land acknowledgement. Zach, if you would, please.
Okay. We wish to acknowledge that Tempe is the homeland of the native people who have inhabited this landscape since time immemorial. These ancestral lands of the O'odham, known as the Pima, Peepash, known as the Maricopa, and their ancestors extend far beyond our city. This land continues to be spiritually connected to the O'odham of the Salt River Pima Maricopa Indian community and the Gila River Indian community. We accept the responsibility of stewarding those places and solemnly pledge to consider this commitment in every action.
Thank you, Zach. Next on the agenda, call the audience. Rob, you got a note up here anywhere?
There's a request.
Not a problem. Having no acknowledgement of a call, we'll move on. Item number 4. Apparently we messed up on September 10th when we voted in a new chairperson. We forgot to second the motion.
I think first we need to do roll.
How come?
Take roll.
It's not on the agenda.
Yeah, well, it should be on there.
I tell you, you put an agenda in front of me, I'm gonna blow through it. Please call the order.
Okay, I don't have these written down. Oh, yes, I do have them written down. Okay, this is going to begin in no particular order. Commissioner Melcher,
Here, sorry.
okay. Commissioner Lamp,
Here.
Commissioner Justice, I know is absent, not able to be here. Commissioner Davis,
Here, can you hear me?
yes, I can. Thank you, Commissioner Davis.
I'm here.
Okay. Commissioner Senate,
Here.
am I pronouncing that correctly?
It's pronounced Sanaa.
Sanaa,
Mhm.
with the T silent.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mention.
Commissioner Sanaa, my apologies. Vice Chair Fackler,
I hear.
Commissioner Karuka. Commissioner Williams.
Present.
Okay. And Commissioner, do we miss anybody? Okay, all right.
Got them
So
all?
we have a quorum.
We have a quorum. All right, back to 4. Mariah's not here tonight, so good opportunity to change our minds if you want to. But I don't anticipate that, so I will ask for a motion once again for consideration of Mariah as the new chair. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, moved in second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
All opposed? Same. Mariah, you got the job again. Now you need to do is show up. All right, next on the agenda are the meetings from that 9:10 meeting. Any additional corrections on the minutes as they were sent out? Hearing none, I'd
Oh,
ask.
1 second. Commissioner Sanaa, I think you had something to mention, right?
Yes, as per the email sent to Zach and Jennifer, I have no more edits.
Okay. So there were some corrections to incorporate that Commissioner Sanaa sent through email. So we will, those will be part of the amended minutes.
And I understand those are technical.
Those are technical, yes.
Okay. Anyone else? Hearing none, I'd ask for a motion to approve the minutes as corrected. Don't be shy.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. Opposed, same. Thought I heard 7 voices. All right, next item on the agenda, certificate for appropriateness, none. Classifications, none. Designations, none. Updates and presentation, all the way down to 9A. Presentation on an updated Apache character area plan. You guys are on stage. Boy, this brings back memories. Doing the first plan, redevelopment plan.
And now we're back to the first update. So, is it keyboard or is there a clicker? Oh, cool. All right. Cool. Thank you, co-chair and members of the Historic Preservation Commission. I'm Lucas Jensen, planner with the City of Tempe, Community Development Department in the Planning Division. Here to give you guys an update on the draft plan for the Apache Character Plan update. That covers staff introductions. We also have Jacob Payne, principal planner, in the audience. He'll be free for questions too if there's anything that I can't address. We'll cover the character area planning process as well as the purpose. Talk briefly about the 2016 plan that was adopted. Talk a little bit more about the Apache character area in general, demographics, kind of major traits. We are not going to go into the Apache character area plan in action. That's something that we've left out of this presentation. And then before jumping into the draft plan contents, we'll talk about some of the engagement and feedback we've gotten so far. Then we'll cover the next steps and timeline for this one, and then open it up to questions from you all. So Tempe, if you don't know, is divided into 8 unique character areas. Apache character area 4 is the first one to be updated. Just a few months ago, we finished all 8. So now we're revisiting all of those old ones to make sure that they still reflect the community's preferences, since it's been almost 10 years since we adopted that plan. Character area plans, they're high-level vision and policy documents. The meat and potatoes of the document is the design and planning principles. That's what we guide developers to and folks coming through with development proposals to look at when they're proposing projects in particular areas, and then it helps staff to review those projects as well. What we try to do in these plans is make sure that we incorporate community feedback, as well as make sure that it is consistent with other city goals, objectives, and priorities. Again, these are highly community-driven documents. We always start with broad outreach for these and then continue that throughout the process. The purpose of the plan is to have a plan for the community that reflects their desires for their area. It provides a reference for developers, for city staff, and other stakeholders when they're looking to make decisions in particular areas. It helps provide input for other city plans. So this can be looked at if there's other plans that are also within the boundary of this area. They can look to this and see if there's anything they can get from this plan that might have already been done.
Oh, Lucas, can we pause for just a second? I neglected to share the PowerPoint.
Oh, yeah.
I know people on the outside can't see this, so just bear with me for one moment, please. I'll get right back to it here. Go ahead. Thank you. I'm sorry.
No worries. Thank you. The last thing that these can be used for is to guide investment and decision making for things like capital improvements. Sometimes there's information that they can get through the character area plans as well. What's not included in a character area plan, it doesn't change projected land uses, projected densities. That's still going to be guided by our 2050 general plan. Doesn't change zoning designations, that will remain the same. Doesn't impact private property rights. This doesn't regulate businesses or residences. That's the role of the zoning and development code. And it doesn't address code compliance either. So the original Apache character area plan was adopted January 2016, so almost 10 years ago now. It's 35 pages. There's 18 individual sections and 78 principles included in those sections in its entirety. It includes some maps of commercial areas, important like transportation corridors. It includes a historic plant palette and includes some information on the placemaking culture of the Apache character area. And then actually, before I go too much further, in case I didn't cover this, the Apache character area, it's roughly northeast Tempe. So it's bounded on the south by the Union Pacific Railroad. It goes up Dorsey to University and then jogs over to McClintock and then up McClintock just past the lake. And then it goes all the way over to the northeastern boundaries of Tempe over there. Some of the major themes in the original Apache character area plan are things like historic preservation, landscape treatments, mobility, green infrastructure, pedestrian scale. A lot of these same themes continue throughout the new plan. A lot of them have been consolidated. Things like canal-oriented development have been, not removed in its entirety, but not given an entire section because there is only a very small portion of canal path in the Apache character area plan. So there is nod to it in the plan, but it's not an entire section. So we kind of reorganize some things. This is the layout. You'll see one of the maps below. This has the neighborhood associations you'll see down there. And then this is kind of what those themes and then principles look like. So you have the historic preservation themes with 1.1, and it's a fairly similar layout for the new one, as you'll see. The Apache character area is one of our more racially diverse communities and a character areas in Tempe with a significant population of 2 or more races, Mexican Americans, Black and African American folks. So That differs a lot from some of the other communities you'll see throughout Tempe. It's about a sixth, I believe that's the number, of the population of the entire city. Relatively similar median ages, slightly lower household incomes in general. And then the one very large discrepancy is the difference between renter and owner occupied. So there's a lot of renter occupied units in this Apache character area. Some of that may be due to the large presence of these mixed use buildings that only allow for rentals. But it is a higher renter population. So kind of the major employment hubs, you have Tempe Marketplace, the large Freedom Financial Center up in the north side near Tempe Marketplace. UPS, there is a City of Tempe office down south of Broadway there, and then, or south of Apache, sorry. But it's largely finance, manufacturing are some of the larger uses in those industrial areas in that Smith Industrial Hub just south of Rio Salado. And then Tempe Marketplace has a large share of the employment here. Some points of interest for the area, you have Tempe Marketplace again up in the north. For the community specifically, Escalante Community Center is a really important one. We do host a lot of events and meetings there. And then Cul-de-sac would be another point of interest that a lot of folks would recognize that's in this character area. It's adjacent to the freeway and large industrial hubs. It is the location of that Smith Innovation Hub. There's significant post-war neighborhoods throughout this character area. And then there is significant transit corridors, specifically along Apache University. And then the one I forgot to include is obviously Rio Salado with the streetcar up that direction. The right side has the historic districts and properties that are located in this character. There's 5, 4 of which are Tempe historic. And then the Board and Milk Company, that one is just historic eligible down there. These are a few of the area images. I think the top right image is of the Borden Homes area. You'll see some standpipe mural art, those mixed use developments, commercial centers, some public art throughout. And then these are some photos of those 5 historic properties that are in there. So you have the Borden Homes Historic District, Tomlinson Estates Historic District, and then a couple of those historic buildings, and then the Kirkland McKinney Ditch. So after some of the feedback we've gathered, it was mostly pop-up events at like Cul-de-sac or other city-related events that we would pop in at, as opposed to formal meetings after the original kickoff meeting. That was a formal meeting. We've kind of relied on pop-ups and trying to meet people where they're at for this character area plan. We've had quite a few. So we started in early May. We've met with the CVAC, Citizens for a Vibrant Apache Corridor, Neighborhood Advisory Commission. We hosted a business mixer. And then we've tabled at a few events. We did one online survey, and then we're currently in the process of getting feedback on a second survey that has 8 responses now, and we're leaving that open until we publish get ready to publish the draft plan. Some of what we heard, kind of the major themes, is there's a large desire to increase shade, make the area more walkable and bikeable. They want to see support for small businesses. They'd like to encourage sustainable business practices. There's a really high emphasis on providing parklets, public art, public open spaces. Another large one is encouraging pedestrian crossings, specifically near the railroad, near the highway on the east side, and then on major arterials. And then we heard a lot of feedback about separated bike lanes and safe crossings. So the draft plan, we released it on September 15th, the first draft. It's 15 themes that are listed down there. Again, you'll see that they're very similar to what was in there before. Some of these things have been consolidated, and then rather than including it as an overall theme, we've just included maybe some principles in that section for it. Each character area plan has a background of the area. Something that Zach actually helped us with is to include the area history, and we've done this by neighborhood. So we have the Victory Acres, Alegre, and Escalante area, Apache Boulevard area, and then the Hudson Manor, detailed histories from Zach written in these plans. The principles and guidelines, and then we have things like maps, the plant palette, and the appendices. Layout's a little bit different. So you'll have the main section, And then underneath you have a theme. So the theme of this one is shade, and then individual principles and guidelines underneath that one. So shade, sustainable development, all fall underneath that main section of sustainability and resilience is the way that this is structured. The significant updates to be aware of is, again, that added history section. We've revised the goals and principles. In a lot of cases, since it's been 10 years, we updated a lot of the language to make it more current, changed the categorization. There is a bit of an emphasis on mobility, connectivity, and multimodal transportation specifically in this area. And then a high emphasis on mixed use neighborhoods and transitions that we see come up a lot in this Apache area is when there's existing single family homes or existing low density, how do we respect that and still build for the future and build in those transitions? And then we've also included elements of complete streets to kind of provide the walkable, bikeable streets throughout. The other big one that we're doing, I believe the last character area plan was when we started this, and when we go through the updates, we'll include it all as an implementation rubric. The intent is that staff can use this to kind of evaluate the different criteria throughout the character area plan. It gives us a little bit of, it gives us a way to measure what's in the plan as opposed to citing just maybe a few paragraphs. It gives us a way to kind of give it a score or score it throughout the process that we're reviewing it. The next steps, so we're towards the end of phase 2. The plan after this, and after we get your feedback, is to go to the Development Review Commission in November. We'll be publishing the final revised draft prior to that hearing, where we'll be going through a recommendation from the Development Review Commission, and then proceeding to the City Council adoption and hearing. We do have an online survey open for any members of the public that might be here and be curious. It's tempe.gov/character areas. And you can find links to the survey that's open now, and we're always available via that email down below as well. I will leave it here for any questions or comments that you all have.
Thank you for the presentation. Commission members, anyone have any feedback, questions, discussion? How about those at home?
I don't have anything. This is Commissioner Melcher.
Thank you. Got an easy night.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Can you go back to the chart map that showed all the different areas?
The first one?
I just want to see where the campus is mostly.
Yeah, the campus is in character area 3. It's a long name, downtown north. It's a long name, but that's where the campus is entirely located, in the 3rd character area to the west of Apache.
As is the downtown.
Correct.
Anything else?
Are you planning on doing any more pop-up events?
Yes. So tomorrow night, Jacob, I'm going to have you assist. What's the pop-up event that we have tomorrow evening?
Yes, Commissioner Sanat. We are going to have a couple more pop-ups before we release the updated draft plan. So the first one is going to be tomorrow night. Escalante Community Center is hosting their fall festival. So we will be having a table where we'll have some resources to point people in the direction where they can read the document and give us their feedback on the area. Additionally, in the first week of November, the city's sustainability department has a program known as Tree Stewards. They're community members who pass out information and work to get more shade canopy in their neighborhoods. So this group is particularly interested in the Apache area, and we'll be working with them to give them some information about this as well. I think for the next couple of weeks, those are it. There's one more. There will also be a mural event that hasn't been scheduled just yet, but should take place before we release that updated plan. That's going to be in the Victory Acres neighborhood on the east side of this character area.
Thank you.
Of course.
Thank you.
Before you leave, when you do the update next, can you make sure Zach gets a link of that and so he can send it to us?
You mean when the final revised plan is updated? Yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
So we can read through the whole thing?
Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Of course.
Thank you for
Yep.
that presentation.
Thank you.
And next, looks like you're up, Zach. Presentation discussion of the 2026 Historic Preservation Commission goals. Zach, you're the presenter. Okay. Zach, before you do that, Rob, you want to go before or after Zach?
I'm fine. You can go ahead and feel free.
Give him time to think.
Rob Moore, Tempe, Arizona. We had our Tempe Historic Preservation Foundation meeting last Wednesday, and we just wanted to thank Zach and the commission for leaning in and continuing, the fight for historic preservation and cultural resource management. We know, especially now, it's not easy always to do this, so we really appreciate your commitment and focus. And in terms of goals, and I shouldn't insert this, but we're obviously with historic preservation. It's always good. There are benefits to get ahead of the game. And, a lot of our narrative has been focused on the downtown area. But as density kind of moves south, all of a sudden, and this is on the point of the character area, the Alameda character area has now become the next cycle of redevelopment and incorporation of density. And, it's almost, I think we're almost already behind the curve, but it's important to kind of think, what does that next chapter look like and how will it impact our neighborhoods like the Alameda character area and segments of the community that haven't necessarily been recharacterized yet, but are on their way. And it's important to get ahead of that. I just that kind of passed through my mind as we were discussing the character area earlier. So I don't know, in terms of goals, it would be great to see what does the next chapter look like and how do we prepare for that in many senses? I know you guys are overwhelmed already with downtown topics, but I just want to incorporate that too. Thank you.
Rob, hold on. Hold on a minute. Rob, could you contact Zach? It's been, almost 2 years since the last joint meeting between the commission
Oh yeah,
and the
great
foundation.
point. Okay.
If you two could get something on the schedule, forget the holidays. Let's get in, first quarter of next year, whatnot, so we could sit down. Maybe between the two of you could put together some form of agenda that we could go from. But it's been a long time since we got together.
No, that's a great point. And I think the last time I got together was for Watson Flowers.
Yeah.
So that happens to be in the Apache
What a
character area.
disaster that
All right.
was. Oh, excuse me, Doug. Just-
But sure,
Scratch
that
that
would be no problem.
Okay.
Yeah, look forward to the opportunity. So thank you.
Zachary.
All right. Thank you, Vice Chair. So just briefly, to fit with the brevity theme of the night. So each board and commission is required each year, each December, to approve an annual report that must be submitted by the staff liaison, in this case, for this reservation commission, that's me, to the city clerk's office. The annual report this year is due on December 22nd. And staff is requesting, before we kind of finish putting together that report, which, by the way, includes, boilerplate information like, list of board and or commission members, name of chair and vice chair, the name of the staff liaison, just, meeting frequency, things like that. As well as kind of more substantive information like the upcoming year's goals and the current year's accomplishments. So staff is requesting feedback on goals for 2026 to be included in this 2025 report, which is due in December. So I've come up with a few suggestions just to kind of help the commission think, and the commission can choose to, accept these, amend them, throw them out, and start start over if they would like. These are just mere suggestions. But the first one has to do with helping to shape and recommend adoption of the downtown Tempe Historic Core Plan, which is anticipated to be completed by the end of June 2026, which is when the plan is to bring that before the city council for adoption. The second one is these are pretty familiar because they're actually goals that we've included on the 2024 plan or annual report, I'm sorry. Begin stabilization and rehabilitation of the Gonzalez Martinez house, begin rehabilitation of the Hayden Flour Mill. So those have been kind of, projects on hold, but we hope to see more movement on those in the coming year. And so essentially, the commission would be with these goals would be, weighing in, asking, listening to staff presentations, providing feedback, et cetera, et cetera. If, and then in something like the Hayden Flour Mill, because it is a locally designated property, the commission would be asked to give approvals to, any plans that would alter or change the appearance of the flour mill building or the historic designated parcels on which it and the silos reside. So that's about all I have in terms of my presentation. These are as I said, these are my suggested goals, and so I can turn it over to commission to discuss these or discuss others. And ultimately, you can provide me just kind of informally with feedback. If it's clear, based on your feedback, what you would like to see as next year's goals for the commission, that's fine. Or you can certainly, if you'd like, pass a motion, to include which goals you'd like to see in the report. And then the plan would be to come back in the December meeting, which we will have a December meeting. Talk about the November meeting here in a minute, but we'll have a December meeting, and then you would actually be asked to approve the report that I draft, or to make any revisions to it that you would like. All right.
Thanks, Zach. Commission members, any input for Zach on this matter?
Hi, this is Commissioner Melcher. I have a question. Just to clarify, Zach, would we be sending these to you after this meeting, or are you asking us to submit what we have for this meeting currently?
That's a great question, Mr. Melcher. You can certainly send them to me after the fact. So, if you prefer. I mean, my thought though was, that more we would the commission would more have kind of come to a consensus about what the goals should be, during this meeting. But if other commissioners are comfortable, with sending me some suggestions, and I'd have to, of course, use some discretion, in terms of what to include. But if it was many goals, because it is, typically kind of a fairly limited number of goals that will be included in these annual reports. I'm open to whatever the commission chooses to do.
One of the reasons why I asked, and there was a couple, but one of the reasons why I asked is Shireen Lerner is not completely on the commission. I know she has some things she'd like to bring up. Is it okay for her to speak on that now, or does she have to wait until she's actually completely on the board?
Well, she'd have to wait until she's completed the oath of office. She's not currently on the commission officially, so we'd have to wait on that. But certainly, yeah, once she completes that oath, then she's considered a member of the commission and can certainly weigh in. So if you want to, if we'd like to go ahead and just, throw some ideas around and then, leave it open not only to Shireen, but the rest of the commission. If they, have any additional suggestions for goals to be included in the report, I can certainly, take those at a later date, really almost, anytime up, through the December, up to the December meeting, when we have to kind of come up with a finalized draft.
Okay, yeah, and I think I guess I have a couple things too, but I'm not sure that I have it completely conceptualized what I would want to say. So that's why I was wondering. I'm usually better when I spend some time and put it on an email. So that's why I was thinking I might be able to send you a couple ideas as well.
And that's fine. And if the vice chair and for you and other commissioners feel like it would be a better use of time just to just send me suggestions over email, we can certainly just handle it that way as well.
I'm not opposed to that, but it doesn't allow for much discussion.
That's true. Yeah, although you still in December will have the opportunity to approve the report and make amendments at that time too.
I suppose that's true. Again, I'm not opposed to that. Commissioner Melcher, can you give some broad strokes to your ideas? Just the topics that you'd like to elaborate?
Well, I think was it Rob or Ron that mentioned something earlier? I know just one of the ideas, and again, I haven't conceptualized it yet, but I know that there are specific neighborhoods that, like Alameda, that he brought up. I know there's some things going on as far as historical properties that are going to be affected by some major decisions, and I also know I actually have questions about some of these neighborhoods that are getting up there in age, where the whole neighborhood could actually, possibly be a historic neighborhood because the age of the homes and all the homes that are built in that neighborhood. So that's kind of more of what I was thinking. So I thought maybe it'd be more like a question I could have a call with Zach and chat it a little bit, maybe.
Sure, absolutely.
Anything else? Commissioner Meltzer, anything else?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking to the other commission. No, that was my main thought process for me, but I
Okay.
know Shireen has a list of items that she wanted to bring up, which I mentioned.
Okay, thank you for that. Anyone else have areas that they'd like to set some goals for? Please.
One of them, I don't know, maybe this is not practical anymore, but there was a bond election and certain money was allocated for historic preservation. I overheard they're already kind of designated. Is that right?
Do you say, designated in terms of like
Projects are all lined up for the funding, or it's still available?
no, no, there's no, it may be for certain projects, but certainly not for all of them.
Maybe like somehow we get a little more involved. Like for instance, I have no idea what the money is being planned for right now, so I don't know.
Okay.
We could help something. And other ideas, lots of time we just cancel our meetings, but instead of canceling, maybe we can establish some kind of project if they're going to be canceled, nothing to talk about. For instance, like somehow I guess we will need some volunteer, but the research or somehow to establish some system to encourage property owners to keep these historic properties, such as tragedy of Bauer House, like now recently got demolished. So try to prevent that if possible. Right now, like some incentive, set up incentive to do that, or some funding.
Yeah.
Or something. So
Yeah.
anyway, plan to do that kind of thing, research and discuss, and then it may require some volunteer hours, but just those are two ideas I had. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I have a question for you, Zach.
Yes.
I'm curious about the condition of the Gonzalez Martinez house. I know that the Tempe History Museum has recently volunteered there. So there was an event held there recently, and I'm curious as to how that functions when it's kind of destabilized property currently.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So the Gonzalez Martinez house near the corner of First and Farmer, right? Yeah. So right now, what's going on with that property is the parcel that the house is located on is owned by the city of Tempe, and it's been owned by the city for 4 or 5 years at this point. There's a city decided to agreed or put together and approved, city manager approved a development agreement with an entity known as First and Farmer, which is the LLC that owns the parcel directly to the west. And this is information that I've presented to the commission, but it's been a while since we've kind of had a presentation on it. So not everyone was maybe aware of this on the commission. But the plan is for First and Farmer to complete a development on the combined parcels. But as part of the development agreement, they're tasked with preserving and rehabilitating the Gonzalez Martinez house. And so at this point, it's we haven't had kind of a lot of like movement at this point. I know the developer is still kind of working on their plans for the site. But it would be very helpful, as soon as possible, to stabilize that building, because it is a partial adobe building. Some of those adobe bricks date back to the 1880s, when it was first built. And one of the walls had collapsed, I guess earlier in the year, and we had to put up a temporary wall to shore it up, and that'll have to be restored. So and there's some exposed adobe, which is not great for the elements, and so there's obvious concerns about the condition of the house. And certainly I have a desire to see the house rehabilitated, but first stabilized sooner rather than later. But it's just a process that the city has to work with the developer on, because it really is kind of a joint effort at this point. So eventually the city-owned parcel and the Gonzalez Martinez house will come into the ownership of the developer. However, they will be required to, once the rehabilitation of the Gonzalez Martinez house is completed, they will be required to put a facade conservation easement on it in perpetuity, so that the house will be preserved for the future, because it is very important property in Tempe, and of course you tell that to people who are not familiar with it, and they're like, well, how is that, because it doesn't look so great, but it's very modest, not in great condition. But it's the second oldest building in Tempe. One of the kind of the rare connections to the city's Mexican American past, and the city's very committed to, and the developer, to ensuring its preservation. So yeah, that's why I was including the rehabilitation and the stabilization on there, because it is something that we would like to try to push forward as soon as possible, and work with the developer to try to make that happen. But in the meantime, we've made a number of security improvements on the site, put lighting on the site, temporary lighting, to try to function as something of a deterrent, because that site has over time attracted members of the unhoused population, and I think in part just because it's kind of in an out of the way location, and there aren't a ton of eyes on it all the time. And so we're continuing to to work internally and also with the developer, on those types of efforts. Yeah, and does that kind of help give you a little bit more information about what's going on with that site? Yeah. Okay,
Thank you.
sure.
Anyone else? Okay, Zach, I already gave you one, and that is for you to put a goal on here that we work to establish a annual meeting between the Historic Preservation Commission and the Historic Preservation Foundation. I think these are two important groups as it relates to historic properties, and that relationship needs to be solidified a little bit more than what it has been in the past. I have a question of you as it relates to the Walker House
Mhm.
and the Congressional Church. Given the disposition of those properties through the development agreement between the city and the developer there on 7th Street, have those properties lost their status?
Well, the First Congregational Church building is not, it's not National Register listed. It is locally designated. So, so to answer that part of the question, no, it has not lost that local designation. The only way for that to have happened or to happen is for, essentially kind of a reverse of the designation process to occur. Now you will, which the city and I certainly have no interest in pursuing because we still feel that sanctuary retains, a good amount of historic integrity, represents the most important, part of that building complex, and should remain designated. You recall that last year when one of the requests that the developer had made when they were requesting the demolition of those non-sanctuary portions is that they were also requesting to remove the H overlay over the areas that were being demolished.
Right.
But they very purposefully did not request the removal of the H overlay over the area that comprises the sanctuary. So so that the sanctuary remains protected within the local register. The Harry Walker House is historic eligible for the Tempe Historic Preservation, Tempe Historic Property Register, but it's not designated locally. It had been listed in the National Register of Historic Places. It was included as part of the 1984 kind of multi-resource area, nomination that, had pulled in, I don't know, many, several historic properties in Tempe. And I confirm with SHPO, just the mere act of moving that building results in its delisting. It's not to say that it can't be relisted, and I think there's a good case to be made that it could be relisted in the National Register. And that's because, the location didn't change that much. It's still in that historic West Tempe neighborhood that it was in before. It's just along 5th Street this time. But we would have to initiate that. The city would have to initiate that process to relist it, which is something that, I would be looking to do in the future. Probably once, the rehabilitation has been completed, would make sense. So something definitely, on my agenda down the road.
And that would be a worthy goal for this coming year.
Yeah.
And on into 27.
Mhm.
So I would ask you to include that
Okay.
in this as well. For both of those properties to ensure that the properties are recognized at the bare minimum by City of Tempe in their modified or new locations. the other part of that is kind of selfish, is I want to make sure that the Historic Preservation Commission now and into the future has some say in how those buildings are rehabilitated and reused.
Yeah.
And so I would ask you to include that in the goal so that there isn't any surprises.
Yeah.
And we find a new disco restaurant in the house and we didn't have anything to say about it.
What is that?
Not it's a bad
A
idea.
disco restaurant? Okay. Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, and that's one thing I didn't mention is that the plan would also be to, take the property, the relocated property through the local designation process as well, and which, is an easier lift, because you're not, getting approval from the state and ultimately from the keeper of the register in DC.
We
So
don't have to wait for the rehabilitation work to be done to do that.
no, you wouldn't have to. No, not for the local one. No,
Yeah.
not for the local one.
So I
No.
think that's a worthy goal is to
Mhm,
get that going.
mhm.
Also, I'm not sure either one of these buildings have any as-built or historic documentation in the photographs and whatnot. I think before anything gets done that is overly drastic, I think a little bit of that bond money might be worthy spent on further documenting these two structures
Mhm,
as we knew them and as we know them,
mhm.
let alone what we'll
Yeah.
see in the future.
Yeah, I mean, we've got, archivally, we've got quite a bit of information because, on the First Congregational Church building, because, it was, a Kemper Goodwin design, the sanctuary, and then also just the rest of the kind of the mid-century fabric of the building, which was demolished. So we have, a lot of information about the church. Yeah, Harry Walker House. We have kind of less information, but and we don't have as built, but we have recently had a historic architect do just prior to the move. I had them complete a very bare bones assessment of the historic features, character defining features of the house, with an eye towards, what kinds of things do we need to make sure that we're, preserving and rehabilitating when it comes to, perhaps, turning this into a commercial, business of some sort. So we do have some good documentation, associated with both. Like I said, more so for the church, but we have, a pretty good, basis too for the Walker House as well.
Yeah, I guess what I'm looking for is a goal that would ensure that that documentation is put into some presentable form.
Yeah.
Whether it's a pamphlet or a booklet or whatever,
Mhm.
but so that becomes part of the history of those structures and goes
Yeah.
into the future with it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean those just like kind of any of those documents. I mean they live on the city server and they live in the Historic Preservation Commission files. And so anytime something with the building has to do with that building is there's a change or an alteration or a question regarding it, that information is available to to help kind of guide and provide answers to those types of questions.
Good, thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else? Any spur of the moment? Hearing none, thank you, Zach. So we'll look forward to your new document in December.
Yeah, very good. Very good.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate the feedback.
And best parts of the meeting are coming up.
Any
Yep.
updates, Vice Chair?
Yeah, updates and presentations. I don't have any. Do you have any?
Yeah, just a couple. Yeah, just we normally will meet, it's commission, I should say, will normally meet, the second Wednesday of the month. This month was a little bit different, just, due to some, I guess, religious holidays mainly. And so that kind of pushed us into the third week. And so what that means is that the agenda for a November meeting was due today. I checked with now Chair Justice to confirm if she had any agenda items. She did not. I did not also. So we went ahead and sent a cancellation notice for a November meeting. However, like I said, we will have a December meeting because we will need to approve that annual, have you approve that annual report, which, like I said, is due to the clerk's office on December 22nd. And then the other kind of, at least at this point, other main agenda item so far for December is another update from MIG and PMM, the firm that spoke to you. Was it last month or the month before? I can't even remember. Yeah, last month. Yeah, that spoke to you. Right. Yeah. Today's this is October. Yeah, last month's September. Spoke to you about the downtown Tempe Historic Core Plan. They're going to be providing an update, so another presentation, another kind of question and answer session with the commission to update you about kind of where they're at in the process. They are, they've been meeting. We've been meeting with them frequently. I converse with them on an almost daily basis. It's kind of the city point person for the project. And right now they're working on scheduling meetings with stakeholders. So, that includes not only, the owners of historic properties in the downtown, but really the owners of really any property in the downtown area, as well as, kind of developers, who tend to do work, in the downtown. Along with kind of other constituent groups like the Tempe Historic Preservation Foundation is another stakeholder, and although I wouldn't classify them strictly as a stakeholder, tribal nations as well will be consulted as well by the commission, or excuse me, by the consultant and sub-consultant. And then I'll mention, so they'll be presenting, kind of, I'm sure they'll have some information to share with you about those conversations with stakeholders. So as well as some, some more refined ideas about the plans for the plan. And then in early December, there's going to be the first of the public meetings. So I believe it's December 4th. There's a kind of a noon meeting that's online. And then at 6 p.m., there will be an in-person meeting in the Don Casano room, the Tempe Transportation Center. So they'll be open to the public. There'll be, presentation by MIG and PMM, and the opportunity for the public to ask questions, weigh in with their thoughts, express, any concerns or insights that they might have regarding the plan. And then I believe in January, there'll be the first presentation to City Council from the consultant and the sub-consultant about the plan. I should say in December, not only will the consultant and sub-consultant be coming back to the HPC, they'll also be coming back to the DRC, the Development Review Commission. Although, the HPC typically, it's understood they're going to provide, you all are going to provide kind of more, in-depth and substantive feedback, which, they definitely appreciated that last time. Let's see. And then I just, we do have, we'll have a new member at our next meeting, Shireen Lerner, but just, don't have the oath in order as of yet, but Evan Sanat is here, and our new commissioner, and got all oathed up and ready to go. So, Evan, did you want to just kind of introduce yourself briefly, and tell the commissioners about yourself?
Sure. Thank you, Zach. My name's Evan, and I currently work at the Virginia G. Piper Center for Creative Writing, which is the old President's Cottage on ASU campus in Tempe. I have a background in anthropology, and I'm currently working on my master's for sustainable tourism. I'm very invested in historic preservation, and I also serve as a volunteer for the Tempe History Museum. So kind of dipping my toes in all of this. So it's been fun.
Yeah.
I'm excited for this.
Thanks, Commissioner. We're excited to have you here, and we're very appreciative of you taking the time to serve. And just just so that everyone knows, Commissioner Sanat is taking over for Commissioner Robinson, who is resigned her commission last month and has relocated, and will be finishing out that term as her at-large member term, which has about 2 years left on it. So at the end of that, there's still 2 full terms that are available to serve if she still wishes, and council is amenable. So, but anyway, thank you, and that's all I have in terms of staff updates.
Thank you, Zach. With that, I'll call for the adjournment of this meeting at 6:59. Make that 7 o'clock. Thank you for attending. Good night.